In this video, I'm going to try to stop you from making a very common mistake a lot of international students make when applying for OPT. And do you want to bet you're not making the same mistake right now as you're applying for OPT? Stick around until the end of this video to find out. Now, for this video, I'm going to be focused on the F1 post-completion OPT. And if you didn't know what that is, this is the type of OPT F1 international students apply for after the completion of their studies. Now, when it comes to the post-completion OPT, there are three timelines you have got to stay on top of. The first timeline is when to apply for the OPT. The second is when to choose a start date for your OPT. And the third timeline is the number of days of unemployment you are allowed to accrue while you're on your post-completion OPT period. Now, in order to pursue any of the three types of OPT, you will have to request a work authorization from a U.S. government agency called the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS for short. This work authorization given to you is in the form of a card called the Employment Authorization Document. And as you can see right here, this is just about the same size as a driver's license. However, I should point out that you're not allowed to work an OPT until 1. You physically receive this EAD card in your hand, and 2. The dates listed on the EAD card are valid. Now let's talk about the first timeline of when to apply for the OPT. You are allowed to apply for OPT as early as 90 days before your graduation date, and as late as 60 days after your graduation date. Now, to take the guesswork out of how you calculate your OPT start date, we built an easy-to-use free online calculator, which you can find by Google searching Sojourner Scholar OPT calculator. As an example, let's say based on what appears on your Form I-20, you have a graduation date or program completion date of May 16, 2024. With this date, you're allowed to apply for your OPT as early as February 16, 2024, or as late as July 15, 2024. This period will be your first timeline, which represents your post-completion OPT application window. For the second timeline of when to choose your OPT start date, you are allowed to pick a start date anywhere between the day of your graduation and 60 days after your graduation. So with the same example, if your graduation date is on May 16, 2024, then the earliest date you can start working on OPT will be on May 17, 2024. And the latest date you can choose to start working on OPT will be on July 15, 2024. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, for the third timeline, which is the maximum number of days of unemployment you can have while on post-completion OPT, that timeline begins from the start date shown on your EAD card to the date when your EAD card expires. And within that timeline, you're not allowed to accrue more than 90 days of unemployment. Take, for example, the dates listed on your EAD card are from July 15, 2024 to July 14, 2025. Then within that 12-month period, you're not allowed to accrue more than 90 days of unemployment. So given these three timelines, a common dilemma you might be facing right now is how to pick your OPT start date when you do not have a job offer yet. And logically, you might think it's best to wait until you've received a job offer before you apply for your post-completion OPT. And that right there is a huge no-no. Now, I fully understand that job searching as a US international student is not a walk in the park. And that's why we've created a helpful resource to assist you on your job search journey. If you're serious about accelerating your OPT job search, saving yourself hundreds of hours in frustration, you've got to get your hands on our exclusive career guide for international students at sojournerscholar.com/career-guide. Also linked in the description section below. Inside, you will get our handpicked list of the best 250 plus US companies across several industries that our team has diligently vetted for their hiring and long-term retention of international students. And you also get my career search course for international students, where you'll learn several powerful job search hacks to beat your competition. Trust me when I say this resource is exactly what I wish I had when I was in your shoes job searching for full-time jobs as an F1 student. So don't miss this, as your next big opportunity could be just a click away. Head over to sojournerscholar.com/career-guide to get our limited offer of 70% off today. Beside the fact that you don't need a job offer to apply for the post-completion OPT, here are two solid reasons why you might be shooting yourself in the foot big time if you wait until you've received a job offer to apply for your post-completion OPT. The first reason is that the processing of your EAD card by USCIS could take as long as 6 months. And in some cases, if you receive what's called a request for evidence or an RFE, your OPT application processing time could take even longer. Another problem that could arise when you wait to apply for your OPT only after you've received your job offer is when you get a job offer with an employer who wants you to start working ASAP. Given that your OPT application will be stuck in the USCIS pile that could take several months to be processed, your employer may not be willing to wait for that long. And unless you're willing to spend up to $2,000 in USCIS filing fees to expedite your OPT application, you might as well kiss the job offer that you've worked so hard to secure goodbye. Trust me, I've seen this happen far too many times. The second good reason to not wait for a job offer to apply for OPT is that although the job offer you're dying to get is just a phone call or an email away, you never know when that job offer is going to come. And despite all your job search efforts, you don't have any control over when this job offer will come. Therefore, if you plan to engage in the OPT, it is highly recommended that you apply for OPT as early as possible, regardless of whether you have a job offer or not. But how exactly are you supposed to pick a start date for your OPT in the future when you don't have a job offer in the present? Now, I'm going to give you some strategies on how to do this effectively. In my experience, the best strategy for F1 students who plan to apply for the OPT early on but don't have a job offer at the time they pick a start date is to choose a start date that falls on a weekday sometime around the 45th day after your graduation date. So if we go back to our May 24th program completion date example, this will be a weekday around June 30th, 2024. Now, there are two reasons why I recommend this date. The first is that it offers you extra time to get ready for life after finishing school, like potentially moving to a different city or a different state. And the second is that if you happen to receive a job offer that requires an immediate start date, most employers will be willing to wait 45 days after your graduation date for you to start working. And in the worst case that you receive your EAD card from USCIS and the date on your EAD card is now valid, there are several other options you can pursue to avoid accruing the dreadful OPT unemployment days. Check out this video that pops up here on the end screen and also linked in the description section below, where I discuss in detail the options you can pursue if you're unemployed on the post-completion OPT and what you can do to stop your unemployment clock from ticking.